What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Couple Things.
With Shawn and Andrew.
Podcast all about couples.
And the things they go through.
Yesterday we did part 1 of marriage myths, and today we're going to try to finish them. I feel like we still have about 20, so who knows?
Today's also Drew's birthday. If I break down spontaneously crying at any moment, it's because I love that girl so much.
I am very concerned today.
How many times have I cried already? I cried in Drew's classroom when we were reading her the book.
I literally walked into the studio and Andrew's bawling.
I sang her a song.
Yeah.
You're Gonna Miss This by Trace Adkins.
Yeah.
Obviously gonna cry.
Yeah.
You know? But I'm not just like, I am not spontaneously.
There's no deeper sadness here.
That's what you think. I love that girl.
The amount of times I've asked Andrew, I was like, are we good today? And he's like, I'm just emotional. I'm like, I can clearly see that. And you just end it there.
I don't know what else to tell you. Like, that's literally it. You remember the first year of her life, how I would cry? I would pretty much go to bed crying when I would put her to sleep.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. Just think about how much she's grown up. You're going to make... I love her. And we had a fantastic weekend, as we said. But today is her birthday. And we're going to the zoo tonight with costumes. And then we got Halloween this week with costumes.
Yeah. We have so many costumes this week. We have the Boo at the Zoo tonight. Halloween party and parade at the school tomorrow. Halloween party at a friend's house tomorrow night.
Oh, that's right.
Trick-or-treating on Thursday.
Wait, is that party tomorrow with all the kids?
Yes.
Oh,
it's all
fun.
kids.
Oh, that'll be great.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Fun. Okay, but we digress. Today we are here to do the second part of Busting Marriage Myths.
Okay.
And if you like the first part and you're back again, subscribe to the show, please. That'd do us a big favor. You want to dive into this first one?
Yeah. The myth states married couples must do everything together.
Reality is it's good to have separate interests and things you enjoy doing individually.
Hear me out. If you did every single thing together, you would have nothing to talk about.
But we do a lot of things together.
We do.
You know?
But we both need our space.
I guess you're right. I work out alone. I read alone.
You work alone.
You watch your shows alone. You do. Now, honestly, if it was up to me, we'd be watching them together.
No,
but you crushed.
No, we wouldn't. You would fall aslight. You don't watch a single show.
If we could watch like an afternoon matinee show.
No, that will never happen. Ever.
I like doing things with you, so this statement, I'm like a little iffy about.
I love doing life with you. We do most everything together, but no, you don't have to do everything together.
I think it's a great spot to be at where you're able to say, "Hey, I love you so much. I would like to do this alone, though." You know, it kind of shows a maturity in communication.
Yeah.
To be able to say that with lovingly and receive it lovingly.
I love you so much, but I need space.
Second myth, having kids will always bring you closer. Reality is that while having children can bring joy, it can also introduce new stresses and challenges. Yeah, I think having children does bring joy. It's not a can bring joy.
It does bring joy.
And it also does introduce new stresses and challenges. And I think those two go hand in hand.
And I think in a very weird way, kids bring you a lot closer because you're now truly connected on a level that you can't explain.
Yeah, there ain't no going back from that point, you know?
No. But it also makes it harder to prioritize your marriage so you can feel more distant at times with kids because you're sharing your spouse with someone.
Yeah. I think it makes a lot of precious memories that kind of cement the relationship. I think it also makes it's like you're kind of going into battle together.
Yeah.
And you're walking into the unknown,
Mm-hmm.
the abyss of the uncertain. And it's like, that can bring you closer.
The hard part about kids is if you lose your priorities in the sense of your spouse should always come before your kids, because that's how you as teammates can raise your kids the best, then yeah, it can be hard on your marriage.
Yeah. You got the third.
Marriage will solve all of your problems. Reality, underlying problems can intensify if not addressed before marriage.
I actually think marriage exposes all of your problems.
Yeah, it adds a lot of problems.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a beautiful thing, though.
Yeah, it exposes every flaw, every vulnerability, everything.
Well, it's like we mentioned the first time, to be fully known and fully loved, inevitably in the being fully known, there are issues with you, imperfections, it's just kind of part of it.
I learned this in my counseling on my side. Something that we talked about a lot is...
They talked about your problem. I didn't know you had problems.
Shut it. Really? Something that she would talk to me a lot about is she said majority of women that she sees all have this like underlying belief of, if only he knew, he wouldn't still be with me.
Mm.
If only he saw this side of me, he would leave. And it is that like marriage will solve all your problems. It won't. You will have to work through every problem you have ever had with your spouse in a very vulnerable way. But if you can show that and work through it, that's such a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I agree. Which kind of leads into, I think, to the next one. Myth is marriage is a cure for loneliness. Reality is a good marriage can provide companionship, but it's not a guaranteed cure for loneliness. Mm-hmm. Emotional intimacy takes effort. And I think if you're trying to hide your problems, you could feel the most lonely in marriage.
If you're trying to solve a problem with marriage, it will only make it worse. Mm. And I don't mean that because like marriage will make a problem worse, but it's like no human being on the face of the earth is going to solve one of your problems. Like we have friends who are like, if only I had a husband or a wife and could have kids, and like, if only I could do that, I would be happy. And if only I found my person, if only I found someone who was X, Y, and Z, then I'd be good. No, your problems will get intensified.
Yeah. And there's no end to that desire. Like you're calling them problems. I'm calling them desires. But it's like we have infinite desires as humans and finite time, right? Or finite resources. So there is ultimately, I don't think anything that could fill that gap, fill the difference there. So it's kind of like a you thing, and it's like, hey, if I acknowledge that I do have problems, and if I acknowledge that marriage does not cure my every aching need, then it actually unlocks this next phase of marriage where it's like, oh, sweet. I'm loving you voluntarily. I'm loving you out of abundance, not out of scarcity. I'm loving you not to get my problem solved or because I need anything from you. It's just because this is a beautiful thing,
It's the age-old story, though, where people in the dating world are like, they're searching for the person. And it's like when they finally give up and they learn to be content with themselves and their life, and they, stop actively trying to fill a void, they usually find a person.
It's a maturing process in a lot of different ways.
Okay, next one. Marriage is a 50-50 partnership. Reality, in different seasons, you may give more than you receive. In a successful marriage, you may not be giving the same amount of effort all the time, depending on circumstances. Agreed. I think I agree. Wait, I disagree with the... Wait, what?
The myth is marriage is a 50-50 partnership. Do you agree or disagree?
I don't think that's statement? A myth. I think that's real.
You think marriage is a 50-50 partnership?
Yes, but I also agree with the reality. Like, I think it's saying the same thing. I think the end of your marriage, it will average out to be 50-50. It should average out to be 50-50.
From a contribution standpoint?
Yeah.
I disagree with that.
Contribution in what way?
That's worth exploring. How are you meaning it?
In every aspect, in effort, in love, and showing up, and support, respect, trust. If I, in our marriage, am giving, 80% all the time of, like pursuing you, but you're just kind of like complacently there, given 20% for the entire marriage, it's not going to work.
I agree.
So I do think the yin and yang there has to equal out. Contribute monetarily? No.
Or task-wise or...
No, but I think overall, in the grand scheme average of life, it has to be equal.
I think from a task standpoint, that's almost like a perception thing. So if you each can come to terms and be content with how much each of you is contributing and feel good about it. So it's like there's no resentment of me feeling, whether it's true or not, that you're slacking or overshadowing me. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Then we're good. Like that's a perception thing from a task standpoint. I think if I'm looking at a marriage, I guess the way it's phrased of 50-50, like each person makes up half of it, I think is true. I'm almost imagining like, two generals having to meet in the middle of the battlefield and like debrief like you both need to meet there, the yin and yang, as you say, like the effort of coming together.
Yeah, because also it can't be a dictatorship. You can't have like I don't think it's going to work out well if you have someone who's making every decision and doing every possible I actually think it has to be 50-50, but I think we're also reading and interpreting this statement maybe different than someone wrote.
Well, I hear that all the time, so I'm glad we're discussing it. But I think from an individual standpoint, it's like 100-100 partnership. Like both need to really be bought in.
Agreed.
But the contribution, the way Shawn and I have navigated our marriage, and every marriage is different, but like I think we do have an untraditional, unorthodox marriage in a lot of ways. But
okay. But I also think we also have a very traditional marriage in a lot of ways.
Sure. Yeah. But I think we have done a good job at collaborating and delegating tasks so that we do still come together and we each do kind of own certain things, and then we humble ourselves and concede certain things. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's a partnership. Yeah, it is. It's like,
I'd be really curious to know what you find unorthodox about our marriage.
I'm thinking we know people that essentially try to preserve like this concept of head of a household from a financial standpoint, from a public role standpoint, and we know people that have a wife that could be the leader of an organization.
Yeah.
That they don't allow that to happen because, I mean, they have kids and whatever. There's a million different...
Because they don't believe in that.
Yeah. Essentially, it's kind of like it's a philosophical difference. So ours is different. Like you are the public face of our family, which is fine. I think obviously in different ways, like in a local community, I think a lot of times it is the husband that is more the outward facing.
Which I think is accurate in our local community.
In our local community, sure.
For sure.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, next myth. If you love the person enough, marriage comes easy. Reality, maintaining a healthy marriage requires ongoing effort and dedication from both partners.
I just want to I want to get rid of this in culture. I don't know how. But I think marriage is the most beautiful thing in the world. I think if you truly invest yourself into a marriage, the benefits that you reap from it are just the greatest. But I hate so much how this is like a myth, but something that's widely spread. This idea of like, well, if you truly find the one, it's easy. It should be blissful. It should be, marriage. I think you and I have one of the best marriages in the world, biasly.
I think so too.
Thanks.
And maybe that's true, maybe it's not, but we each feel it. So
we
that's
each
all
feel
that matters.
it. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But like, I truly dislike even the concept of marriage being easy because I actually don't believe that's biblical.
I think it's dangerous too when you think, oh, our marriage is hard, so I'm doing something wrong or they're doing something wrong.
Or something in the marriage is wrong.
When really it's just like that's the way it is.
Yeah.
It is difficult and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
And
that's why I just want that to go away. I don't want people to be like, oh, marriage is easy. No, it's not. Marriage should be difficult because if it's difficult, that means you're trying really hard every day to make it the best it can possibly be.
There's a saying that's like, it's simple, but it's difficult, you know? And I think to extrapolate from that, it's like, it's hard, but it's good, and it's, we're not, you don't shy away from one because it's hard, or you don't just assume like, oh, it's simple, so I should be able to do it. It's like,
I think the only thing in this myth that's accurate is this idea that if you're married, if you love a person enough to get married to them, then the hard work should be an easy decision. Does that make sense?
Yeah. If it means that much to you.
Yeah. If you're honoring the commitment you've made because of the love you have, which the love can be a roller coaster at times too. It comes in waves. Then the decision to try is what should be easy.
It's, what do you want in life that's easy? I think our default mode is to want the easiest, most comfortable, least aggravating situation. But
are you saying I'm aggravated?
But when you zoom out, and this is 30s Andrew talking, so we've been through enough stuff. I feel like that's been difficult.
Yeah.
That has turned out really good for us to look back and say, no, this is true. But anything that's come athletically, from a family standpoint, from a business standpoint, it's like, man, when we went through that phase of nixing so many businesses, that was so hard, but gosh, was it good.
Yeah.
Or when we went through the phase of the early days of starting our business, that was freaking hard. We're grinding, but it's good. You know what I'm saying? It's like, if you talk to founders or you listen to these interviews, people that started their businesses in a garage, and oh my gosh, those are like, we were living off of ramen noodles or whatever. It's like, that's not easy, but it's good. And that's what people always look back on and cherish with nostalgia. And that's kind of what I think is worth pursuing rather than comfort or like this giddy happiness or whatever, however you're defining that. So anyway, yeah, it does require ongoing effort and dedication from both partners. And I think right now I just had a revelation that like it does require ongoing effort.
Yeah.
Like we made it through a tough part of parenting and it's still going to require ongoing effort.
You're just now realizing that?
Well, we're coming out of a heavy phase.
We're going to be grinding for the rest of our life. But
we're coming out of a heavy phase. So
yeah.
I was like, oh, we're good, But anyway, myth.
But
You
myth. Married life is more boring than single or dating life. Reality. Couples can keep their relationships exciting by continuing to explore new activities and interests together. What do you mean boring? I enjoy married life more than single or dating life. I did 100%. Not enjoy that life.
Oh, yeah.
I enjoyed it when I found you. But even then, it's like there's so much uncertainty that
Dating is a fun phase of life because of the breadth of variety, right? Of like, hey, I'm dating this girl and she's interesting because that's why. Like we had a friend who was like, they're dating like they like 3 different girls.
Yeah.
One because they're hilarious, one because they're really good at conversation,
Yeah.
and one because he thinks it's like wifey. And it's like, there is a fun breadth of variety, but marriage is really fun because of the depth of getting to know someone. So anyway, I think it's all good phases. Marriage is definitely it's a good place to end though, I think.
Yeah, I don't miss the singular dating life.
Yeah, me neither.
Good. Could you imagine? Be like, I do.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought it up because I've been waiting.
When I was little, I was gifted an arts and crafts set for Christmas, and it really sparked my creativity. I remember asking to create things with my parents all the time, and now it makes me excited that I get to create things with my own kids.
If you're looking for the perfect gift for your kids, try KiwiCo Clubs. Your kids will learn all the fundamentals through hands-on activities and progressively build their skills with each project.
Our kids absolutely love the KiwiCo Science Club. That was the first one we did together. They built bows and arrows and made a robot. They were so proud of their work. It was so adorable.
Their projects can be played with over and over again, so they won't be sitting on a shelf when they're done. It's so rewarding to watch your kids build skills over time through projects like robotics, engineering, art, and more.
As a parent, it can be hard to find creative gifts to keep your kids engaged and off their phones, but KiwiCo does the legwork for you, so you can spend quality time tackling projects together.
Tinker, create, and innovate with awesome gifts from KiwiCo. Get up to 50% off your first crate at kiwico.com, promo code COUPLE.
That's up to 50% off your first crate at kiwico.com, promo code COUPLES.
Anyway.
Also, let's just talk about the boring. If you feel like marriage is boring, then you're not doing it right. And I mean that in the sense of like, just because you're married doesn't mean you can't be adventurous and spontaneous and go try new things and take risks. And like marriage isn't the end of your life. It's something really, really great because now you get to explore life with your best friend.
And it's like if you're bored, then increase your curiosity.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Look harder.
Yeah.
Because there's something there. Next, myth. You must have the perfect wedding for a successful marriage. Reality, the quality of the wedding has no bearing on the quality of the marriage. Focusing on the relationship is more important than the wedding day.
Yeah, total myth.
But I really did not like the whole wedding pomp and circumstance, the whole like, oh my gosh, it needs to be perfect. People always say, well, when you raise people to think that this is the most important day of their life, then this is what you're going to get is like this really intense focus on that.
Yeah.
I think there's definitely a line that we can cross, but I think I've increased my appreciation for how amazing wedding day is.
Yes.
With getting everybody there. Like that really is a once in a lifetime thing. It is worth putting time and effort and resources into making it special. It's also like the first day of the Shawn and Andrew family, so it's kind of like setting the whole stage for your vibe together, but it can be too much.
For sure. And a perfect wedding has nothing to do with budget. Let's say that. You don't have to have an expensive wedding for it to be a perfect wedding or for it to be the most meaningful wedding for you and for your family. And also different things. Like if it rains, that's fine. That has no effect on your marriage.
Unless you get all heady about it. And then you're like, oh shoot, our wedding, our marriage is doomed and then all of a sudden things change because of that, right?
I know a lot of people who are like, oh, if this doesn't go right, it must not be the right person. And like, don't let an event ruin what it is you're celebrating. There's
like a little mental resilience that you need to have of like, no, it's fine. And it's going to be fine.
I remember with our wedding day too, we put a lot of resources into it. We put on a beautiful wedding, but I remember our wedding planner being like, oh, we have to buy a rain tent because it can't rain on your guests. It can't rain on you and your beautiful dress and like all this stuff. And I was like, do you know what? If it rains, we're going to have a blast.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not buying a rain tent.
Yeah.
Like, those will be epic pictures. It's just like, don't care that much about the little things that don't matter. At the end of the day, the only thing that matters is like, you say I do.
Also, what does perfect mean? It's
Yeah.
different for you than it is for your mom, than it is for the wedding planner, than
Yeah.
it is for your father-in-law. You know what I'm saying? It's like, so as long as you two are happy with how the whole thing goes down, I think is good.
Yeah.
But like the wedding planner's perfect definition was everyone stay dry and we have all these contingency backups, and that's not everybody's definition. So
No.
I think it does get tough because there's so many perspectives at play when you have, how many people do we have at our wedding?
400.
Yeah, that's a lot of perspectives, right?
That's a lot of perspectives.
And people are just hot takes slinging them your way.
Yeah.
So whatever. Next.
Myth: a bigger engagement ring means your spouse loves you more. Everything about that statement is false. A ring has nothing to do. The reality says the size of a ring has nothing to do with the amount of love in a relationship. Some people prefer smaller rings. Others love bigger rings. Some people don't get rings. Some people no, it has nothing to do with how much you love each other.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
I wanted to elope for our wedding.
Yeah.
Didn't happen. And I also, true story, went dead broke, negative, in debt to buy Shawn's wedding ring. But I'm glad I did it. Like, it's okay now. Would not recommend it by any means, but it's a good story. Anyway, I thought you do kind of feel expectations, and there is this beautiful feeling of obligation that, like, I want to get you something that's incredible.
Yeah.
Even though diamonds still to me are like, you know.
I love diamonds.
I know you do.
Yeah.
And you know what? I don't fully understand that.
It's okay.
But what I do appreciate is your love for diamonds.
You know what? I don't fully understand your love for AI, but I appreciate it. Okay. Okay.
Fair.
My ring is very special. Thank you, baby.
I don't appreciate diamonds like you do, but I do appreciate you.
I appreciate you too.
And thus, by extensions, I appreciate diamonds, you know?
Yeah. I'm sorry we didn't elope. I didn't know this.
Don't care. It's not a big thing for me. Ain't a hill I'm going to die on.
I know.
I had a freaking great time at our wedding.
Same.
Next. The myth is if you love your spouse, you shouldn't need time apart. Reality is personal space and time apart can actually enhance a relationship by allowing you to recharge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I love you, I need time apart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
All
know
right.
how to, yeah.
You got the last one.
Marriage should be your top goal. Reality, it's not the goal for everyone. Personal happiness and fulfillment can come from other areas outside of marriage.
It's interesting. People have different perspectives on this. You know, even in the Bible, Paul says it's better not to be married. And if you look at all these geniuses throughout history, like
He says that point blank.
Yeah.
Wow.
Can I find the verse? It's good for a man to have a wife and for a woman to have a husband, yada yada. Sometimes I wish everyone were single like me, a simpler life in many ways. But celibacy is not for everyone any more than marriage is, right? God gives the gift of single life to some, the gift of married life to others. Have you ever heard that verse?
I think so.
But then in Psalm, what did we just read? Is it Psalm 18? It says, blessed is a man who has a wife.
Mm-hmm.
So there's different perspectives
Yeah.
on that, which is great. You know, life looks different.
Life does look different. I don't think it needs to be the top goal for everyone. I don't think it needs to be a goal for everyone. I think I am biased and I love marriage and I love spending my life with you. And I wish everybody could feel that. But if that's not for them, that's not for them. That's okay.
I think I have empathy for the people who desire marriage and it's not in the cards for them. I think I have no empathy for the people that get married and have a desire for singleness. And you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That is not an empathetic situation for me. And we've said this before. There are a lot of great ways to live a good life. And I think marriage and having kids is one of them. Obviously, some people don't get married or can't get married. Some people don't have kids or can't have kids. And there's still a lot of great ways to live a good life, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I don't know. What do we got? Like 80 years on the planet, and then kick the bucket and it's all done, maybe, if you're lucky, 80 years. So it's like, just do the thing.
We're going to be married in heaven too, babe. Okay.
We got to check theology on that there.
You waiting for your single life up there?
No. I enjoyed these. I mean, some of these were more thought-provoking than others, like the engagement ring. Maybe some people believe that myth. But you kind of like looking at people's rings.
Yeah, I appreciate jewelry.
Yeah. You do a great job at maintaining
Thank
and
you.
keeping up your ring. I appreciate that.
I will say this, though. I don't look at people's rings and be like, oh, she's got a husband that loves her more than her husband.
No, you like the design.
I like the design.
Yeah.
It's strictly just like I enjoy the...
It's kind of a fun thing to celebrate, too. Almost like a conversation starter. Yeah. But anyway, thank you all for listening. And if you could do us a favor, leave us a rating, like we said. And don't forget to follow. We have a little Instagram page for the podcast.
We do?
Shawn and Andrew Pods on Instagram. We'll cross-post clips every now and then, but there's a lot more videos that go live on that, so do that. And if you're listening, remember we do have a YouTube channel that has a video version. It's pretty much the same content, but if you like watching podcasts like I do, how do you like to watch your podcast, babe? Or how do you like to consume podcasts?
I don't.
What's your favorite podcast?
Ours.
Yeah.
I'm not a big consumer of the podcast.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
I appreciate your non-appreciation for podcasts, you know.
How about like Freakonomics?
Okay, Shawn was on my favorite podcast of all time is Freakonomics. It is part of the reason I'm getting my PhD because I love the people they have on there. Mm-hmm. Maybe someday I'll be on that show.
You'll be on it, babe.
Because of all the effort I'm putting into this. But you were on the freaking show. You did it.
I did it.
And that to me was one of the moments where I was like, wow, Shawn's a big deal. You know, that's crazy. You were on freaking Freakonomics and you crushed.
I'm not a big deal, babe.
No.
I hate to break it to you. I am not a big deal.
I just can't believe you're on my favorite show. Anyway, also, if you listen to our podcast and you like listening to our podcast, what other shows do you like listening to? I'm actually curious what content these people like listening to.
You know the last rant I want to go on?
Yeah, hit it. Wow.
We have to get Andrew on Dancing with the Stars. It's got to happen. I need everyone to go campaign. Hit up the DMs of Dancing with the Stars. Say Andrew East for DWTS.
Let me be honest. Part of me wanted
Whitney Carson.
Part of me part of me wanted to be on the show. But yesterday I had to learn a 30-second dance.
Yeah.
And it was one of the more difficult things I've ever done in my life. Okay. Let me try to explain this because people go on the show and then they do those quick interviews after they do the dance.
Yeah.
And like people are like, oh, it's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. It's like, how? Really? You were a Hall of Fame football player or whatever. Here's why it's hard for me. It was 30 seconds of 30 moves. And I have no understanding of the story of dancing. So for me, I was literally trying to like mimic every move and then try to memorize step by step. This move goes to this one, and then second 2 to 3, I got to do this move. I just had no framework for understanding. We didn't do counts or anything like during the learning. So I was trying to just.
Oh, you didn't do counts?
No.
Oh,
you got to talk to my teacher about that.
Yeah,
maybe. But
that's really hard.
It was hard because I've never learned anything like that. I love learning, and I actually loved learning dancing, but it was humbling
Mm-hmm.
to say the least, because it's like this weird memory to body connection there's different in football. Like football, you got to know plays, and there is like the mental and physical connection kind of, but like it's more of a flow. And dancing, when you're trying to do it in sync with, it's freaking
Here's
a lot.
what literally just came to my mind, maybe to paint a picture for you. You know those little kid drawings that like Drew's doing right now, where it's like the follow by numbers?
Yeah.
So with those numbers, you're literally creating a full picture. So imagine you're trying to do that in the smoothest take.
That's super helpful, and that gives me one block of learning.
Yeah.
But to use that analogy, I'm literally trying to zoom all the way in on dot to dot to dot to dot, and there's 100 dots that I need to try to figure out the bigger picture through, and I can't.
But you also think if you redrew that picture 100 times, it would get easier and easier and easier and easier. Like, because you know where you're going.
Yeah.
It just is repetition.
It blew my mind though, because you have to memorize it, and then you have to put it together with your body, and then you have to make it look good.
You have to perform it.
And then I can't wait. You have not seen.
I can't.
You saw one clip from yesterday.
Yeah.
But then you have to like make it look easy, kind of with your face, right?
Yeah.
That would be step 4 for me, and my face the whole time was like. It was strained. So I'm
Yo,
not
Whitney,
a natural. I'm not a
help my
natural.
husband out. Come on.
But we do some dancing every now and then, you know?
Yeah.
Not with Cost and Mayer anymore. That was my last time doing that. Because they put some crazy stuff on.
Winnie's a great teacher. She can teach you.
You're campaigning for this.
I'm campaigning for Winnie Carson, Andrew East, Dancing with the Stars.
I don't know if I want it after yesterday. It was humbling.
It was humbling for me.
Oh, you're freaking natural.
No, I'm not.
It's ridiculous. How
Okay,
good
let's
at
wrap this up.
everything you are. All right.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
We'll see you next time.
Have a great day. This is Andrew.
I'm Shawn.
Couple things out.